Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Pada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gulude, 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 Gulude. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
Kunja Bihari Dhamma Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayurada Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Valabha Girivare Dhare Jaya Gopijana Valabha Girivare Dhare Jaya Gopijana Valabha Yashodanandana Vajajana Radana Yashodanandana Vajajana Raja Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vajajana Jayamuna Tira Manachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare
Jaya Radha Jaya Kunja Bihare
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare
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 Yashodanandana Bhajajana Rajana
Yashodanandana Brajananandana
Yashodanandana Bhajajana Rajana
Yashodanandana Brajananandana
Yamuna Tira Manachare
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Manachare
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jayurada Adava Tunja Vihare
Jayarada Madhava Vinariyari
Jayurada Madhava Tunja Vihare
Jayarada Madhava Vinariyari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare
Yashodanandana Bhajajana Rajana
Yashodanandana Brajananandana
Bhaja Yashodanandana Bhajajana Rajana
Yashodanandana Brajananandana
Jaya Yashodanandana Bhajajana Rajana Jaya Mona Tira Vanachare
Yamunatira Vanachari
Mona Tira Vanachare
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jayurada Madhava Kunja Bihare Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radhe 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 Govinda,
Radhe 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 Govinda,
Radhe 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 Gopala,
Radhe 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 Gopala,
Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala,
Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala,
Radhe 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 Gopala,
Govinda 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 Govinda,
Govinda 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 Govinda,
Gopala 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 Gopala,
Gopala Gopala Gopala,
Ye Govinda Bolo Gopala Bolo,
Govinda Bolo Gopala,
Ye Govinda Bolo Gopala Bolo,
Govinda Bolo Gopala,
Ye Jagana, Jayu Jagana, Jayo Bala Deva De Sobaba, Jayu Jagana, Jaya Goranita, Jaya Goranita, Goranita, Jaya Goranita,
Jaya Goranita,
Jaya Panchatatwa, Jaya Panchatatwa, Panchatatwa, Jaya Panchatatwa, Panchatatwa, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya
Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Jaya
Jaya Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Guru Dev,
Jaya Jaya Guru
Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Nitai Goda Haribo, 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 Nitai Goda Haribo,
Nitai Goda Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Jana Haribo, 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 Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki, Shri Shri Lakshmi Shingadev Bhagavan ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Guru Dev ki, Ishkan Guru Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaura Preminande. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the beautiful lotus feet of Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Hari, 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 Bo. Namah Vishnu Vatara Krishna Kristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhatiti Tasvanti Nami Namaste Krishna Bhagavad Gita Shri Guraka Shakti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So you are all please welcome to this wonderful assembly and reunion in Krishna consciousness. Yes. So, our subject matter for this glorious Sunday is taken from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, entitled Nature, the Enjoyer in Consciousness. And then we're treating text 26, which highlights a lot on the hearing process. So it's on the board, and we try to take it all together. Anye tueva majananta Shrutwanye bia upashate Tepi chatitaram tieva Mrityam shruti parayana Anye tueva majananta Shrutwanye bia upasate Tepi chati tarantyeva Mrityum Shruti Parayana Anye Tveva Majananta Shrutva Nyebhya Upashate Tepi Charitarantyeva Mrityum Shruti Parayana. Please follow responsibly. Anye Tveva Majananta Shrutva Nyebhya Upasate Tepi Chati Tarantyeva Mrityum Shruti Parayana. Try very hard. Practice makes perfect. Okay, in the absence, Mothers Matajis. Okay, we take the word-to-word translations. Anye, others, to, but, evam, thus, ajananta, without spiritual knowledge, Shrutva, by hearing, Anyebhya, from others, Upasate, begin to worship. They, Api, also, Cha, and, Atitaranti, transcend, Eva, certainly, Mrityum, the path of death, Shruti Parayana, inclined to the process of hearing. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translations. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about Him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So please, let us all take it together. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death, purposed by his divine grace. This verse is particularly applicable to modern society. That means our current society. We should hear attentively. Because in modern society, there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing, because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress. Especially, according to Lord Chaitanya, if he hears the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization, and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material resistance and go back to Godhead, back to home. Hare Krishna. Om Jana Timirandasya Jana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vanchakapata Rubyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Guravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vanchanam pangam langaya te girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Mukam karoti vanchalam pangam langaya te girim yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda Madhava. Kantara Shima Bhagavata Ki Jai. So please, we welcome you once again to this powerfully hearing process arranged by Srila Prabhupada and also following in the line of previous acharyas for our benefits. So, before I say anything, I beg you, the assembly of devotees, to bless me so that I may be able to say something of substance, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, and to the hearing pleasure of our spiritual masters and the assembly of devotees here present, and also for my own purification. So our text today says, again, there are those, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Actually, when we take close observation of our existence in this material world, it seems and it comes to mind that the majority, especially of the human population, are failing their exams. What is the real exam in our existence? And what is the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead towards all living entities? It is not the pleasure of the Supreme Lord to see us suffering. The Supreme Lord wants us to enjoy. Why? Because he himself, by nature, is an eternal enjoyer. And he says, we are part and parcels of him. Tell me clearly, how can you enjoy or savor the sweetness in a very good meal when you are having an adamant toothpick? How? Or even, if not toothache, let's say your eyes is paining you intolerably. How can you enjoy the nice, sweet, sumptuous, appetizing, and tantalizing meal before you? In this way, the Supreme Lord is making us to understand that when we are suffering, he never relished the fullness of the joy that he is meant for. So he wants us all to come into that realm of eternal enjoyment. Enjoyment is the nature of the soul. But here, we have put ourselves in such a condition that we are deluded of that sweet, transcendental enjoyment. And sometimes we grope around paltry, illusory enjoyment, which has no base. Today you hold millions in your hands. Then just the next hour, your dear wife or your dear daughter is dead. And the millions are in your hands. But at the same time, sorrows. What kind of enjoyment is that? So here, actually, our situation is very much enlightened here, and it seems the Supreme Lord is opening a very glorious door for us who are not so philosophical or in knowledge. He says, again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing from him, upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Our examination in this our material life is to transcend birth and death. But we are constantly repeating this class or this scenario, or we are retrogressing. 8,400,000 different species of life in existence. And of all these, only 400,000 are of humans. And even of the 400,000, the majority are of degraded human nature. So they can understand philosophy that propound and expatiate on the Lord's existence and the glories of the Lord.